Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. CCL 2021 playoffs. Just saw Bama and the Crimson roll through that last round as we continue to head down the stretch, Mick. Things getting more and more interesting. Welcome onto the desk. I
Thank you,
know that
sir.
you have been taking it all in. And how are you feeling so far about the playoffs?
I'm feeling great. I was watching every single match yesterday, or watching at least as much as I could. I only got so many monitors, but overall, just trying to get as much information as possible. Loving what I'm seeing so far. Lots of great matches. Some weird upsets here and there. Kind of messed up my bracket, but we're all in those shoes right now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule for the rest of the day here on Bravo and tomorrow. There's plenty of action going on. This just the 4:30 game, quarterfinal round one. But you got more coming up all through the end of the night. 10:30 will be the final game, and then tomorrow a couple more here on Bravo. Don't be fooled by just those two games, because over on the Alpha stream after that, that's where things will finish up in terms of finals and grand finals. So you're going to want to keep it locked to College Call of Duty, because there's so much shaking out here as we head down the stretch in our brackets. And now we'll flip things over and take a look at the bracket here just to kind of see where we're at in terms of some of these teams. Like we said, we're staying on board with Bama. They just picked up that win over UTK, as you can see. Now they go against the tough Conquered Maroon squad that is undefeated so far this year. Probably not going to be easy for them, but I mean, we just saw them win 3 straight maps. Anything is possible, I guess.
I mean, yeah, overall, I could agree with you. I mean, when you really look at the way they've been lined up in the bracket, though, especially when you're facing the likes, when you look at this playoff bracket and see the people that they've been up against so far. I mean, Q Maroon, obviously, they have a great set of guys surrounding them. They have a great kind of program overall. And their opponents, I feel like, in the playoff bracket, they've been a little bit more impressive. So whenever you look at how these guys are going to match up against each other, I got to say, Key Maroon, they're looking a lot better going forward. Just not based off that number, just based off how they've warmed up to get to the stage.
We'll scroll on down to kind of show you how things are shaking out in the rest of the bracket. A lot of teams starting to get their games in. Waiting on that Carleton LU game. I really am paying attention to that one. I think it could be a great matchup. Kind of the 2v2 between the Kilgannon twins. And then Lurid and Hawk for Carleton have been red hot all year, so that won't be interesting. And then the match we'll have on Delta is all the way down at the bottom in the losers area. It's actually the other Concord team in Concord Gray, who is going to be up against who is it down here? High Point, right? High Point Purple. So we'll have that one in our back pocket that we can switch over to when we need it. But let's turn our attention back to this one in front of us right now. Like I say, staying on board with Bama Crimson, who lose the first map in that last series. Then they flip the switch, Mick. They go 6 straight in the search and destroy, 3 straight in the control, and they win the hard point by about 75 points. So they're riding pretty high off a win. I think, obviously, against such a tough Conquer team, they're really going to need to be playing off the fact that they just played so great in the last one.
Oh, easily. They have to sit there and maintain the momentum. They have to keep snowballing. They have to roll off that effect that they just had going in or coming from this last matchup. I mean, that alone is going to be the determining factor. They have to keep that attitude no matter what, because, I mean, you're probably most likely not going to go undefeated against Q Maroon. You're not going to 3-0 these guys. They're going to give you a fight. So anytime they sit there and throw that roadblock on you, they sit there and throw a speed bump into the mix, you got to sit there and just maintain speed as best as you can.
Speaking of Q Maroon, Concord, we'll take a look at their stats on the season so far. This has been a powerhouse squad. Really a tall task.
Oh, my.
51-0 in map count. Oh, boy. It's not looking so good for Bama when you see those stats. Not only are they 17-0 in hardpoint, but on average, they're winning by 175 points, Mick.
Yeah, that's 100-point club right there for darn near every single one of their opponents. So, I mean, that alone, Bama Crimson, when it comes around to the hard point, this is where they really have to make a statement up front, because, I mean, especially when you're looking at the guys that they have so far, I mean, obviously, they're no joke when it comes to hard point. They've had some competition here and there. They've definitely put their name into the ringer. But, I mean, these guys alone facing Concord, that's going to be a statement if they can find a way to pull this first round out, and it's going to put Concord on their rear.
They have literally in the regular season didn't lose any maps, but in the playoffs, they have dropped a couple maps. So there have been some kinks in the armor for Concord Maroon. It's not necessarily out of the realm of possibility for Bama. It's going to be a tall task. We'll flip things over and take a look at how things have been going for the Crimson on the other side. Pretty good hardpoint team, 15-4 so far. The differential goes down a little bit to just 74. It's actually a 100-point difference there. Search and Destroy has been kind of that dropped game mode, but last series they went 6-0. They like to play aggressive. If they can start to string some rounds together, they can be a runaway team in Search and Destroy as well.
I mean, easily. And we see these guys doing so well so far. We've seen them, especially in the search, just do a solid job when it comes around to performance in the playoffs and seeing what these guys are capable of, especially seeing that 1v3 last round. I mean, they obviously have some like they have a trump card in their hand. They have something to play with. They have aces in their sleeve. Every here and there to pull something out. And I think it really just comes down to when they should play that to play on their opponent's confidence, playing their emotions, and try and throw a little bit of chaos into the mix that makes these guys have to adapt rather than just having an easy run.
Yeah, Click had that huge 1v3 in the Moscow Search and Destroy a series ago. And I mean, jeez, yeah, okay. Maybe Conquer Maroon didn't lose any maps in the regular season, but so far in the playoffs, they drop a map to York, the 8 seed in their first round. They 3-0 Liberty Red, and then they drop a map in the last one to a really good Ryerson squad. So sneakily, Bama Crimson has lost less maps in the playoffs compared to Conquered Maroon, but obviously we know who the underdog is. It is Bama Crimson. I mean, this Conquered Maroon team was undefeated through the regular season. They're certainly a force to be reckoned with. It's going to be Apocalypse Hardpoint to start. I spoke with Click, a player from Bama, earlier today, kind of asking him about the playstyles, what they like. And in terms of vetoes, he said that their go-to maps are Garrison and Apocalypse in Hardpoint. And if you can see above us, both of those maps are in the mix today. So maybe also shining a little bit more light on the fact that Crimson, they could have a chance in this, but it's going to have to start here in map 1.
Yeah, and I think this really what comes down to, especially with these guys and how exactly they want to play out these maps. You even see when it comes down to respawns as a whole, we see that there's a Garrison control in there as well. I mean, it's not exactly the same as Hardpoint, but it has the same kind of sense to it, to where you're playing for these respawns, you're trying to look at these spawns, you're trying to look at points, hills, establish themselves. So as long as we see them doing well in this control, finding a way to just kind of utilize that information, that mindset they have for Hardpoint, all you have to think of is point 1, point 2 for that control, and you'll be sitting fine and dandy going forward.
Yeah, I mean, this map set, it looks pretty good for Bama. They
Yeah.
won the Moscow last series 6-0. Garrison control, that one's going to be tough. But the Garrison Hardpoint, they just won that. Apocalypse to start. The SMG players for Bama were huge in the last series. I think Apocalypse kind of sets up well for that. There's not a whole lot of space for the ARs to hold down some of these long angles. The submachine guns can run pretty rampant. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you got to be careful. But obviously, that P2 hold is going to be really huge at the start of the game, whichever team has that favorable spawn. But anything else you're looking at in this one, Mick? A map that you have circled? I know the Garrison control will be big. Does the Moscow S&D, the fact that Bama has a 6-0 in last series, how much does that help them?
I think that really helps them out going forward, especially when it's up in these higher rounds. I mean, these guys already know how to play the map out. They already know how to put themselves down, establish themselves, play out the game right, and especially now they've already been warmed up, not just in the playoffs overall, but today alone with a 6-0 on that map, on that mode. I mean, that alone is just playing to these guys' favor, and I'm really excited to also see Apocalypse because I don't feel like enough players, enough teams have really utilized that to its fullest extent yet. And to see Bama coming in here confident enough to play it to an extent in the playoffs and really feel like they can win a round off of it, I want to see somebody establish a meta for this. I want to see these guys lock this down and find a way going forward to really just put themselves on the map.
I agree with you. I like Apocalypse. I understand the Hackney Yard effect. If you get that bad side, you're really going to be in a tough spot. But overall, it's a fun map. It's a breath of fresh air to shake things up a little bit. We were about to start the match, but had a little bit of a reset. And we got some action going on Delta. So I'm wondering if that might be something that comes into play. Like I mentioned, you got the other Concord team up against High Point Purple. But maybe we can check in on that one a little later on. Still trying to get this match going again here. But yeah, I mean, Apocalypse Hardpoint, you don't see it so much. Again, Conquer Maroon, they're the 1 seed coming into this tournament. They are so tough to beat here. But yeah, we'll actually take a look over at Delta as we wait for this match to start on up. It's a pretty good game so far here on Moscow Hardpoint in this series. It's tied up as they get to their next set of rotations. Kearns is going to be soaking up some of this time, and you're already starting to focus towards the spawns. They're up for grabs right now until Johnny Boy gets that big kill. You got a couple players pushing through apartment number 6 here in free. He's probably going to be in a big spot to try to find Johnny Boy.
Oh, yeah. This man, obviously, they're going to be trying to push for these sites. They're going to be trying to push for these spawns, especially with P2 coming into the mix right now. I mean, that alone just purely comes off of spawns and the way these guys are playing it. They had to get a little bit aggressive, get in your opponent's face, and find a way to force yourself up there. And we see High Point doing a darn near pretty good job, especially with the way they're grouping right now.
Yeah, they are able to get control there for a second, but they're scattering to try to find their positioning, and everybody's starting to fall. It's all down to Troll. He goes down as well. This is the break High Point's looking for. Still 40 seconds here up for grabs. They're going to get the flip out that they're looking for. Now they have the spawns. Now they have the positioning. All of a sudden, back onto Conquered Gray to make a break.
Yeah, I mean, and seeing that they now have the control overall, I mean, you got to be looking at this cross map rotation, especially going from P2 to P3. You see, there's about 20 seconds left. You need to go ahead and start eyeing allocating some of your men to say, okay, let's start making this run. Some of you boys need to hold it down. And Sexton, he just kind of needs to play it prone right here. He needs to lay himself out. Otherwise, I mean, if he gets picked off, that scrap time's going to go over to Gray for the most part. And that alone, with not enough guys on the opposite side of the map, they're trying to just lose the control right here.
Absolutely right. There's so many different philosophies in terms of that rotation from 2 to 3, when to make it happen, how to make it happen. And you're already seeing now it's a race to get there. Concord, they have the members on the site. They have the control of it right now. High Point's going to be trying to make the breakthrough the back end. Sexton's finding the first kill. He's finding 2 huge ones, as now his team's going to be able to flood on through. It's going to be tough here for Concord Gray as they start to spawn out. You got the one player in Cryptics trying to play the contest corner. He is going to stand up and fall. Last player, Johnny Boy, an elbow, trying to play his life and waste some time as his teammates come off spawn. And he's actually going to be good to continue to soak it on up. He's laying down in the contest. For High Point Purple, you still have to get some of these kills. It's not over just yet on this break.
Yeah, just right there for Johnny Boy to be holding that out. I mean, that alone, these guys, you have to play a little bit more aggressive right here, especially with so little time left. You got to be able to scrap up because, in all reality, when you got rotations as a factor, I mean, that last 5 seconds from 25 to 20, that's your scrap time. By then, the rest of your boys need to be out there. And we saw Johnny Boy doing a great job right there, just going prone, playing out the time really well. Even if it's not getting time for his team, he's contesting and he's making sure the rest of his guys go over to that next site.
Yeah, does a really good job of buying time for the rest of his teammates to come off spawn. He's up to 20 and 10 right now with that Krig. Now we get over to the street where it's a pretty one-on-one battle. Head-to-head, these teams have to go. You can try to set up the pinch through Rat Hole, but you got number 5 and Sexton. He's watching it. Concord's on the point, though. High Point have to find some of these kills. Finally, they start to do it. Got a couple ARs looking down from that bus. Troll wins a big one. His teammates falling around the hill, though. This is a big opening for High Point. Now they're the ones back in the hill. They're trading blows here as, again, we're at a tie. And you see the look in over back on Bravo. We'll probably be heading back there soon. Well, I don't even know. This is a pretty good game here. It's quite a blowout there on the other side.
Yeah, because we see these guys right here. They're trying to hold it down. I think overall we see 2 guys on each, or 1 guy at least on each side of the field, of the likes of Kearns and over there with Cryptics and with Troll. These guys, I mean, you see overall that Johnny Boy's having to hold down a pretty hefty amount of time, especially with his KD lining up right now. I mean, the man, he doesn't need to be put into those situations. Either he needs to get the kills or be there. But overall, they sit there and they're having to duke it out as best as possible because obviously it's playoffs and nobody's going to be slacking all that much at this time around.
Yeah, and we'll just stick on with Delta. Give Bama Crimson the benefit of the doubt. It wasn't looking too good there at map 1. We'll see if they can maybe answer back towards the later stages of that game. But this one's really good right here. Another rotation towards P1, and it's a tie game. Gridlocked at 155. It's going to be control right now for Concord Gray on the hill, but they're starting to turn their focus towards these next set of spawns. High Point's ready for it. They've got their guns up. They're finding 3 kills. Got to get this last one into paralysis. You're able to do it. Now you're on the hill. You also have the spawns. Things starting to come together for High Point, but another break comes through for Concord. So back and forth they go as 20 seconds left on the hill. Really starting to turn your attention to High Point having the spawns for new.
Yeah, and especially seeing how well they were on top of each other when it came around to that P1. Seeing that there was constantly, if you had 1 man die, you had 2 coming back into that point. And that's the kind of momentum you need pushing forward, especially when you're trying to move on to the other side of the map. Guys were doing a great job, and they're going to have to find a different way to get outside of this P1 and rotate, because otherwise you got High Point already locking down most of these sites so far and most of these lineups to allow them to sit there and choke up. But over there on the other side, you see up there towards the street side, they did actually manage to let that up a little bit. So we're going to know exactly where Q Gray is going to be trying to go with this to push this next side.
Oh, and you got Johnny Boy calling in the streak. He is going to find one, but he falls in the process. Free, able to play his life by getting inside. He's still on the point, soaking it up for High Point. Big chance here to come back into this game. 30 seconds still to work over. And for Concord Gray, they just don't want to see this lead slip. They really want to get one last break on this one before they turn their attention to P3, but you got to start to question it with only 20 seconds left. Sure, that's great that you're winning some of these fights, but the rotation now is going to be open for High Point Purple. The avenue is right there. Sexton's going to take off with it. This is huge for High Point, a chance to string them together.
Oh, and we see them trying to cross to the mid right there, which I don't know exactly in this time and stage is exactly the play. You do see, obviously, you got the likes of, Free trying to go ahead and get a weird flank over there on the side. But when you can't follow through with that, especially as a lone ranger for the most part, that's not going to play into your favor. And that alone is what's going to allow Troll to just dissect these guys right here and get themselves onto the point, really give them that kind of front point establishment that they need to go ahead and get the tie game going back into this.
They didn't pick up on those spawns, and Concord make them pay for it. Now they're the ones on the hill. They have their hold in place. You look at some of these routes for High Point. Where's it coming through? You got Sexton trying to pinch around the back. Johnny Boy's ready for it. Teammates troll and support. They're finding the kills. Kearns gets one. And you still have Concord Gray on the point. They're extending this lead. It's not going to be good enough to win the game, as you can see over on Bravo. That one finishing up, and I think the last time we checked in, Bama only had 10 points. So that's unfortunate to see. Concord Maroon, obviously the powerhouse squad, getting things done there in map 1. But this one's coming down the wire. Concord Gray, if they can get this final 10 seconds, they're going to be in a good spot on the street hill. Everybody turning their focus now as they make the run over. Sexton's going to be the first one here in Rat Room, finding 2 huge kills. It's going to be massive for High Point as the rotation comes through. Initial time going over to Sexton.
Man, I mean, that alone is what these guys need going forward. They need to sit there and find a way to put themselves back in the game. They're just not getting those rotations quick enough. I mean, seeing how they're getting on the point now, getting onto P5, finding a way to put themselves down. I mean, or P4, excuse me. I mean, they're finding ways onto these sites, but they're just not holding it. But Free is actually, you know, he had something to say about that time around. Getting that 3-piece alone, I mean, that just sits there and makes a statement for these guys. It's going to give them a huge momentum shift going forward. As long as they can grab this point, I mean, they could darn near finish it, and they're just trying to tie the game at this point so they can go ahead and get it one last hoorah there at the end. But Gray seems to finish it out, and that alone, I mean, with 3 seconds left, there's not much you can do in that case situation.
And Free tries to buy some time for his team with this 3-piece, maybe even 4 on the hill. Yeah, it's great. But you're absolutely right, Mick. It felt like from 2 to 3 there, High Point had a huge chance to rotate, to string them together. They aren't able to do it. They kind of take that route towards the middle of the map. It creates an opening for Concord Gray to come right back into it. It feels like a couple blunders on some of those rotations. Big opportunities for High Point. And it's Concord Gray who capitalize on the mistakes. They get to the hills in time, and they end up winning the map overall. So that's just something that I'm sure High Point will look back on. In this map here, Concord Maroon. Both Concord teams picking up wins on both streams, so looking good if you're a Concord fan.
I mean, just to pick them up simultaneously, too. I mean, obviously, one's going to be a little bit rougher than the other, seeing that Gray, they are their secondary team. They're not exactly performing as well, but, I mean, to show that they're still in this playoff bracket, they're still putting their name out there, they're still putting it down. I mean, that alone is a statement. And, I mean, just when we can see the skill discrepancy between both sides and seeing that Q Maroon absolutely just mutilated Bama Crimson in this matchup, holding the only 10 points. Meanwhile, you got Gray making it a close game, but still holding out about 30 points. I mean, that alone is just a statement for just the whole school alone and what their program has going forward. And I think, you know, in Moscow S&D, I mean, if Bama Crimson was putting a little bit of money here on this Apocalypse hard point, that's going to be a little bit scary going forward if you're in those guys' shoes right now.
Yes, that map went by so quickly, and it's tough because we were talking about it for Bama Crimson. You're trying to carry that momentum from the last one into this one, but it's not easy to do when you go up against the likes of a team like Concord Maroon. They are a 1 seed for a reason, and you're wondering, well, how did they even drop a map at all if it was 250 to 10? It was Search and Destroy where they dropped a couple maps so far in the playoffs, so this is going to be the big opportunity for Alabama Crimson to answer back. They probably have to win both Search and Destroys and obviously need to squeak out a respawn somewhere. They were good in Garrison Hardpoint a series ago. Obviously, Hardpoint not looking so great in this one against Concord Maroon, but it's really going to start here, winning the Search and Destroy. You got a 6-0 last time around. Obviously, it's a different team, but it's a must-win right now, it feels like, for Bama Crimson.
Oh, easily, especially when you come all around to seeing. I mean, we were betting on these guys when it came around to the whole respawn mode. That's exactly where they had their confidence. That's where they put their chips down. And I mean, we just had to trust these players and where they're feeling comfortable. And when they get put in their place, in that exact place that they were hoping to, you know, kind of find a win, slip through the cracks a little bit and get some confidence and find a little bit of lead somewhere. I mean, that alone, when you sit there and just kind of shut it down, especially in the likes of, you know, Concord. These guys, I've faced them before in Cold War, even back there in the fall. I mean, just them as players, them as a whole program, they are on lock with each other. They've sat there, played with each other for years and how to lock it down. They know the ins and outs of this Call of Duty game. And that alone, when you're sitting in Bama's shoes right now, you have to be prepared for this. You have to find out what exactly these guys' roots are, how they're going to orchestrate themselves, because they're not going to slip up. They're going to keep eyes on each other. And you have to almost have a plan going forward if you're going to face these guys and know how to execute it right.
Yeah, Maroon is just such a dedicated team. You can tell they put a lot into their gameplay, not only just while they're playing, but after the fact. They watch their VODs. They have good chemistry in terms of their teammates. Like you said, the synergy is there. They know what the guy next to them is going to do without even communicating it. That's what makes things so tough for Bama Crimson. It was a pretty relaxed run to get to this point. Yeah, you had a tough game against UTK, but before that, it wasn't too tough to get to this point. Now, all of a sudden, you're faced with a Goliath like Concord Maroon. And we'll see if that success they had in the last Search and Destroy carries over to this one with a different team. 2 kills back and forth in the feed. Honcho and Click able to stabilize for the time being. We'll see what happens here as Megatron pushes the de-escalators. He's going to find the shots onto Honcho. Click there for the trade. Now it becomes a 1v1.
I mean, these are these situations they got to win. I mean, you sit there, you face the likes of these guys and respawn. You don't have to worry about these guys coming back right now. So if Click can find a way, which we've seen him do time and time again, yesterday and today, that alone is just a statement for these guys showing we just need to get in those situations. We got to get these trades. We got to win those engagements, and especially getting the bomb down. That's going to put some pressure to play into Click's favor right now.
Yeah, and Conquered Maroon, have you been watching the streams? Because this is a very similar situation to earlier on. Click had a 1v3 clutch after he rotated to B. Now it's just a 1v1. He is going to get the bomb down, and he's working with the overkill. He's got the Krig in his back pocket in case he gets into a long-distance engagement. Trauma is just laying the feet down in the quicksand. He is not moving here near Checkers. Finally starting to creep on in towards the bomb site as he realizes the clock ticking down. Only 20 seconds to work with. Click has been over by the street side the whole time. Finally going to lay eyes on. The shots are going to be good. Click tries to slide away. It can't happen, and you're absolutely right. It feels like some of these 1v1s is against such a tough team like Conquered Maroon are must-wins for Bama. Unfortunately for Click, he's not able to get it done there, and it's going to be 1-0 for Conquered.
I mean, that alone, you sit there and have to play that bomb site. We saw Click. I mean, I expect them to do a little bit better with those kind of weaving in and out of that site because we saw it earlier. I mean, the guy just did so well in that 3v1, and that was mostly because of the bomb. He had that pressure there, and he's going to do a great job going forward. We're going to see the whole Crimson squad trying to get that bomb down, put the pressure, get that little beeping going on in your ear from that timer. But overall, I mean, you just have to sit there and play this out smarter. And, I mean, you had to put that pressure down, especially with Click playing it, fairly aggressively and seeing how, Trump just kind of slowed down a little bit and allowed the clock to play out and took his sweet old time. That alone is what sat there and just kind of threw a little curveball into the wind. And you need to sit there and just kind of be just as patient as your opponent is sometimes.
The MO all season long for Bama has been to be aggressive. They go with 3 submachine guns a lot of the time, and we'll see if anything changes when they go up against a team like Conquered Maroon. It's actually Chase here who's being pretty aggressive. He's sliding on in to find 2 kills. Cade able to get 1, Click able to get another. And as everybody for Conquered Maroon falls down, Chase was good enough to at least put Megatron in a 1v2. He is going to be working over here at A because the bomb is down. He's got the Krig as these 2 players kind of back to back with each other, setting up to play a trade. There's so much time to work with. Megatron's just going to use it to his advantage, slowly but surely creeping up here. It's really just going to come down to making an unbelievable play. Hopefully you can get that first kill without losing too much of your life. The stun there is going to be information for the other team. They know that he's here now. Click coming around the corner. Megatron's good with the first set of shots. Here comes Nyx, and that's perfect stuff from Bama Crimson in a 1v2. They play the trade, and they get it done.
Yeah, that alone, I mean, obviously I had my doubts there for a second. Seeing, the guys trying to push out there from the side, trying to see, Concord take it from the edge play and getting that nade out and getting it shut down by trophy system, that alone is going to give, the likes of Bama some intel. Hearing that go off, knowing what kind of vicinity you're in, knowing that you're not going to be going for a flank over there from B side and trying to, come at a different angle. You're going to be coming right up front on that A site where everybody's kind of a little bit too accommodated to and where they already have set up for that bomb. So that alone is what's kind of stressful for these guys. And it was a great opener by K2K, allowing that to be that 3v2 situation, allowing those trades to play in their favor.
Honcho with the God Nade, able to find 2. Where's your flak jacket, Conquered Maroon? Obviously not wearing it right there. That's a huge opening. Now full control of A. These 2 players are going to be separated, trying to push from different sides. This feels like a must-win for Bama Crimson. Shots into Crooked. He has to backtrack towards mid. Megatron spotted out as well. Honcho's big nade is really setting up to put Bama in a big round here. They could be winning it just based off that alone. These 2 players are still alive, trying to push on through. Megatron with a big pick onto Honcho. His teammates now here with him. They're going to go in, attached at the hip. Megatron coming towards the outside, tries to put some shots on him to Click. Now it's all up to Crooked. He's finding 1. If he could get this second, it might not be out of the realm of possibility. Does find it onto Click. Still 14 seconds left. Does he know where this last player in Click is? He's rotating around 10 seconds. He gets the kill, but is he going to be able to win the race to the bomb in time? He isn't. Oh my goodness. As close as you could have played it for Conquered Maroon. Just not enough time on the clock.
Yeah, that alone is really where you just got to play things out, and especially talking about that first round and how Bama plays it. These guys play Search right, in my opinion. They get the bomb down early. They find an aggressive start. They try and get down and play the timeout, because once you get that stress of the bomb ticking down instead of just the overall timer, I mean, the more time you give this defense, the more they're going to be sitting comfortable. The more they get time to orchestrate something going forward. You don't want to give that time to Concord. And seeing how they're playing this out, they execute that so well on that round right there, just getting it right up front, especially playing off Honcho's two-piece with that nade. That alone is just a statement saying, yo, we don't exactly have to push all the way into enemy territory, but that alone is enough as a statement to go ahead and get that bomb down comfortably, play for the picks there, because we're going to have 3 guys, even if we have one planning right now.
Just goes to show how perfectly Bama have to play this. Even in a 4v2, Maroon is almost able to turn it around on its head. Now we go back onto offense for Conquer. They're flooding straight to B. Big information picked up from Click. He's going to rotate back and call it out to his teammates. Everybody now trying to refocus their attention to B as the bomb goes down. Click thinking about maybe making an early move. And here he goes into the closet. He's got Crooked waiting for him. Nix is going to draw a huge first blood, enough to take the shots from Crooked and get out with his life. Now here comes a player on the pinch. He has to move quickly. Crooked's able to find 2. Now it's up to Cade and company. Nix here jumping on in. Is he going to win with the hip fires? He's not. All up to Cade now, 1v2. He's already got a kill in this round. He's got the Krig to work with as he moves on in. 22 seconds left on this bomb site. Crooked going to challenge out. Goes down to 1 HP. Is his teammate there for the bait and switch? He is. And it's perfect stuff out of Conquered Maroon. Very decisive there on that push to B.
Wow. I mean, that alone just for Concord, how they push that side, just getting themselves onto that side so quickly. They're at this stage where they're having to take notes out of Bama's books, because I don't feel like Bama, they've done such a great job so far, already getting that site down and things like that. And, you know, especially with Concord in that first offensive round they did, they were just very aggressive about it. They just charged almost into the enemy territory, just trying to get a full wipe right there within what felt like 15 seconds. But whenever Bama's kind of put in a different situation when they're having to play out that site, being put in the shoes they're typically putting their other players into, that alone is going to sit there and be something they're not used to. So that alone is kind of what the determinative factor right there, and how we sit there and go into this round alone.
Got the look in over on the other stream. Gray trying to make it 2 in a row, but here, Conquered Maroon, they're trying to make it a 3-2 lead. As trades back and forth. Comes the 3v2 situation for Bama. Cade's able to even the odds. The gunfight's still taking place over here at A. Team deathmatch with no respawns becomes another 1v1. Megatron versus Honcho. The go-to players for both teams. Megatron's going to try to escape with his life. Honcho holding on to the bomb. Has the A plant if he wants it. But right now, just trying to look for this re-challenge. Lay eyes on the Megatron. The shots are there.
Oh my goodness.
Huge stuff from Bama Crimson. We talk about how they need to win these 1v1s, and they're able to do it this time. Now they take the lead.
I mean, just that play right there from Megatron. I mean, I expected this guy. I mean, did he not see him Eskies? I could have swore they had a little, they kind of peeked each other there for a second. Because, I mean, overall, when you sit there and get the intel, he's not going to be able to rotate that quickly. Obviously, you expect these guys from Bama, and I think that's a well played by them, knowing that they're usually going to put aggression onto these sites, find a way to put the clock down and, you know, play it out a little bit. But especially when you have so little time to work with, and you go ahead and get that bomb down. I mean, defense is already probably going to win this out in time. So if you can just go ahead and get that aggression down, not give these guys an extra minute to work with, you're going to be sitting in the better shoes. And I think that's exactly how they want to play it.
The go-to play here for Maroon to push right into A. It's not going to work out off the rip as they get shut down. A couple players for both teams is left alive as it's Trauma trying to get some more information over here at A. Honcho sliding out is going to get tagged up down to 45 HP. His teammate and Click is in from behind them. They're not ready for this. His shots are going to be good into Trauma. That's going to make it a 1v2. Bama need to get together to try to play this as a team. Megatron realizing he has the chance to try to draw this even. He finds the first kill, but it's not going to happen. Another great 2v1 situation for Bama Crimson where they play the trade. They go up 4-2. Be careful. This could be an opportunity to tie the series.
Yeah, these guys just absolutely dissecting right now. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Bama, these guys. I mean, just getting absolutely demolished in the hard point. And I mean, I don't want to say that in a rude kind of way. I mean, but they're sitting there actually setting up for themselves. I mean, obviously, if they were getting, you know, shut down 6-0 right now and we were on to map 3, that'd be something to say to where, you know, Bama Crimson's out of this. But they're showing they are not. They are leading here inside the search and destroy. They show that, you know, we thought we had an apocalypse. That was just a little hiccup then. But going forward into this Moscow, we just won the 6-0. So we should definitely have something going forward. These guys are showing it. They're doing a great job so far, just executing everything.
Yeah. Search and destroy is proving to be a better pace of play for Bama Crimson. As again, they're going to find the kills off the rip. 3 in favor of them. Now Megatron, again, the last player alive. Seems to be every single round. Bomb's going to go down. Bama Crimson really starting to find their groove. Honcho is going to go down to Megatron. That makes this round that extra more bit possible. So now it's only a 1v2. Click and Nix both going to be holding on to AK-74Us. They're playing off angles, setting up a crossfire. Megatron thinking about making his move, instead checks his back. Nobody's going to be there. 20 seconds left now. Has to make his move. Here he comes from the outside. Is going to be able to split past the shots, but the teammates there in support. Again, a 1v2 that Crimson are playing so well, doing a really good job with that buddy system, and they're going to go to a closeout round now, Mick.
Man, I mean, I just don't exactly know what to tell Concord in this situation. I mean, we see these guys, they played so well. They know how to play aggressive. They know how to do it right. Only deal is Megatron is always the last one standing, and we don't see these guys exactly grouping up enough. And I think right after that initial, pick that Honcho had earlier when they were on defense at one point, getting that double with the nade, that's kind of what scared him and kind of swayed him away from doing it again. But, I mean, at this point, that seems exactly what has to go down. You can't expect this man to win 1v2s all day, so you just need to sit there and play as a team and get the whole unit down on one site and play for a retake.
Can't count Maroon out just yet. They absolutely have the gusto to bring this one back. Big first kill coming in from Crooked. The push is to B. They tried to have some success earlier in the game. And Bama Crimson are realizing it's time to rotate. They're not at A, but I love this move from Maroon because they just might be at A with the last second pivot. They show B. Now they're faking it back. They're headed up to A. They're going to have full control of it. Nix is like, uh-oh, we might have messed up here. I got to go back. He's taking shots from Crooked. He's probably going to go down. Honcho as well. Last player up. And they're going to be able to at least make it a 1v3. Cade with some big shots, but I love the play out of Concord Maroon to switch the bomb sites. It's good enough to win him the round.
Yep, and I think that was just purely driven by that rotation. Seeing how aggressive they were. You know that Bama, they sat there last time that Concord went for a B push. They were very aggressive about it, very upfront. But I think, just pressing the brakes and almost switching gears so immediately, that alone is just kind of what turned the tides. I mean, not to play a whole Bama joke, but I mean, that alone just kind of sat there and, really switched things up for these guys. And I don't think they saw it coming. And, from here on out, they obviously want to sit there and stick to that 2-2, make sure that guys are held down. But, I mean, overall, when you're facing the likes of Q Maroon, these guys are going to come at you with full force, come with a full-man squad, and they're going to easily wipe you off the face of this earth if you're in a 4v2 situation with them.
Concord was undefeated in Search and Destroy all season long until the playoffs. They've lost 2 Search and Destroys in prior rounds, so really trying to make sure that this is not a kryptonite mode for them. They're trying to come back from 5-2. They had the first step done. Now a big flank coming in from these 2 players. It's unexpected for Bama, who have been at A every single round. Finally, an adjustment from Maroon is going to be huge to draw first blood. And these players, they're just going to focus down on it. They're going to lay the bomb and commit to it. It's what you have to do. They got good positioning right now. How do they handle this retake?
I mean, we just see him doing a great job so far, getting a man over here on one side, getting another on the other, just finding a way to come at this from all angles, especially when you have more manpower than the opposing team. You got to play into that. But we see Bama just utilizing their tacticals almost flawlessly to sit there and just kind of nitpick these guys and just dwindle them down.
That is the end of the game. Bama Crimson, they hold strong there after losing the first life in that final round. They still get the plant. They hunker down here in the apartment building, and they pick up all the kills. Honcho in the feed going down to half health. Still with the ego challenge onto Chase, able to pick up the kill and the third on the trauma. Ridiculous plays from Honcho there to close it out for his team. And talk about an answer. Talk about retaliating after losing 250-10 to come back out in that search and destroy and play the way that Bama Crimson just did. I'm not willing to give up on him just yet.
Oh, most definitely not, especially seeing how well they execute it. I mean, that alone just shows that they need to get around to this round 5. If they don't close it out by then, they need that. And I think they've done a great job so far executing that out, finding a way going forward to sit there and kind of play into that slow mentality that does come with Search and Destroy. And that's exactly why it's such a beautiful mode. You sit there, Call of Duty is such a quick-paced game. You sit there and see with Hardpoint, with Control, it's very upfront. Concord just doing a great job of being right in your face as much as possible, just getting up on you, spitting on you, shoving you around. But once you sit there and finally take a step back, you get in a mode where you can play it a little bit slower. We saw Bama just playing a lot better, dissecting things and actually playing that time given to them, especially getting that bomb down, then playing it in the reverse shoes against Concord. And that alone kind of scares me for that Control. They just got to find a way to win this, though, because we didn't see them do too well in the hard point. They just got to do that to give them this breathing chance to get around to the second S&D.
Big swing map upcoming, really going to be important for Colorado Maroon. I'm sorry, for Concord Maroon to try to win these next 2 respawns, because if it goes to that raid, search, and destroy, it's anybody's ball game. But we'll take a very short break before we get there. Don't go too far. When we come back, Garrison Control up next. Welcome back, folks. And all of a sudden, what looked like it could have been a blowout series has gotten a little bit more interesting here on stream. Big Moscow Search and Destroy coming out of Bama Crimson. Not only do they win it, but pretty convincingly, 6-3. As we turn our attention now to Garrison Control. And the thing for Concord Maroon, throughout the regular season at least, they never played Garrison Control. Bama, they have some experience on it. They're 5-2. So, I don't know. I mean, I think in terms of the way the last respawn went, you probably are looking at Concord Maroon, but what we're finding out right now is that Bama Crimson, they're not willing to roll over just yet.
I mean, the whole thing about this is, I mean, obviously we haven't seen it on stream, or we haven't seen it exactly within the season, but we know these guys, they're not a joke to play around with, especially when we're talking about Concord. These guys are probably scrimming, 6 out of 7 days of the week. So, I mean, they've obviously most likely played teams when it comes around to facing guys on this map, on this mode, whether or not it's Bama, whether or not it's, even the likes of, Georgia Southern. All kinds of teams overall. They've been playing all kinds of top dogs. They're going to try and make a challenge for themselves, and they're going to be looking for maps that they haven't played yet. So whenever it comes around to it, this is one of these ace up their sleeves I feel like they got coming forward. But that alone is something that Bama needs to play into. They have to show that this experience means more than those scrimmages, this on-game experience, that on-stream pressure, everything on the line. And especially in this time in playoffs, is where they have to play into that. They have to show, they have to go ahead and get this pull on the board so they can breathe a little bit on a hard point, kind of adjust themselves, get themselves collected a little bit. So when they come around to the S&D, if they want to win this, that's going to be their best bet, I hate to say.
Yeah, definitely feels like they have to win it in a game 5. That Garrison hardpoint is one that they really like as well with the submachine gun players for Bama Crimson, but just based on the way the first map went, you really can't count on them to win a hardpoint. So it feels like this is almost must-win right now for Bama Crimson if they want to get it to that game 5. We jump right in to Garrison Control, and I mean, Concord, they're probably not too happy about the fact that they're starting to drop some search and destroys. I'm sure they're going to be looking to retaliate here in this next map. Not only are they going to be trying to win it, but they're probably going to be trying to win it in a blowout like the first one. Is already onto the point they go. 2 good kills. That's enough to start some progress at B.
Yeah, especially already having a 2-0 lead, or having at least a 2-kill lead overall, and now it's increasing to 3. I mean, that alone, especially getting all this B progress simultaneously, that's playing in their favor. So just strong start. And I think Bama at this stage, they're giving it up. They need to at least. Honcho, obviously getting a good pick right there, finding a way to, dwindle their lives down a little bit. But that alone, in the big scheme of things, isn't going to play into your favor. You need those lives over for that B site. You have to and find a way to settle yourself down and feel comfortable going forward. And especially with how they got Crooked over here, just kind of locked in this site, you need to go ahead and keep playing to that, making sure they can't get these rotations down and hold out that A side as best as possible.
Yeah, really got to put some focus down here on Bricks on the backside, the long routes. Click is holding things down up here in top green with that big kill, but you got to be careful of number 3. That's Trauma. He's in deep now, playing by that crate. They're looking for him. They're able to pick up that kill, so that's huge for the defense. Now you can kind of turn your focus back to these players in front of you. Don't have to worry about anybody in from behind. Long routes probably you'd think would be the option that Conquer would go with, but instead trying to find an opening near green. Still got a player working for it, but it's Nix here trying to slow things down. As he looks up towards the top. More kills from Honcho. That's huge. Defense holding strong for the time being.
Yeah, and I think they did a great job, especially with how they grouped up inside green right there, getting a couple picks here and there, establishing themselves, especially getting those trophy systems down to kind of play it out. But, I mean, when you're looking at the likes of Bama Crimson, you have to find a way to rotate to that. You have to adjust to that just a little bit quicker. And I think with them just trying to all rush on that site, play into it as best as possible and hold it down, I mean, give Q Maroon a couple seconds on there. Dwindle it back. As long as it doesn't get to 1 tick of progress and you get a flank and get 3 lives off that and make sure you had the life advantage even further ahead, that's going to be just fine and dandy for these guys. And I don't see them making plays like that at all, really.
The best way in is going to be through this backside, but it's difficult when Clicks is finding 2. Massive kills to slow down this push. Gets enough shots into Trauma so Cade can finish it off. But you still got 1 more player back here in Megatron. Nix is hiding out by the satellite. Enough to be a distraction. They clean up all the kills, so another wave. Good for the defense. Now the push is going to come through the top of green instead. No more long routes. They're done wasting time. Crooked's trying to push on through. He's still got his teammate Case here in the corner, buying time as everybody else comes off spawn. The push is going to continue to be through green. Now they're able to get to the back satellite. Number 3 here in Trauma, trying to find the 2-piece. Not going to get it onto Nix. It felt like an opening there was starting to come up, but instead it's the defense one more time slamming the door.
Oh, and that alone, just how these guys are playing their lives, getting it down, especially flipping the tables completely and getting this 3-life advantage. I couldn't tell you exactly where that play came in, where exactly they got that advantage, because, I mean, we see them doing a great job holding down this B site, and I think that alone is just a sort of like Q Maroon, not exactly finding a different path to go for things. You sit there and allocate 1 or 2 guys to that back site trying to make that flank. But I mean, that alone isn't going to do it, especially when you've already used so many lives to try and get that going forward in almost a funnel effect. And that alone is just leaving out 1 life for each player now, only sitting with 3.
Bama is just going to crawl onto the point. Cade might be a little confused by this. Trying to make a move here. Trauma is going to pounce. He jumps on in, but Cade's able to find the first. Megatron, the second, isn't going to come through. You got to get on the point, though. Be careful. The contest.
Oh, my goodness.
That is a blunder right there as you get into back satellite, but you're not going to touch your feet down on the ground. Bama, they'll take it wherever they can get it. Big win on defense after losing B so early into the round. That's really a great stand there all the way down the stretch.
I mean, I can understand where he was coming from. I mean, obviously, when you only have 2 players left alive, you're a little bit scared. You're trying to get that high ground. We get it. Everybody loves being Obi-Wan every now and then and getting the high ground, giving yourself that advantage. But if it means getting off that point when you have less than a second left in time, you have to make that sacrifice. You have to find a way to fight there on the ground, be on this level field with the rest of these guys. And that alone, I mean, I think you had these guys just kind of caught up in the moment, not exactly a way to settle anything, and that alone just played into Bama's favor, which they're going to take.
Yeah, it's really just a strong showing for Bama defensively in that round. To hold on to A for so long, how about this play coming out of the book? They're going to go straight to A on offense for Conquered Maroon. I'm sorry, for Bama, and they're already getting 2 ticks of progress together. Quick knows this last player is going to be pushing through green. How about the gun punch? Enough to slow it down. That last tick won't come through. It's Maroon swinging on in and cleaning up the kills.
Man, I mean, at this stage in time, I'm also kind of concerned for these guys on this offensive round. Getting that 2 ticks of progress right off the bat is obviously going to play a huge favor for Bama. I mean, I love seeing these players when they sit there and get 2 ticks of progress on both sides. They can still kind of switch it up as much as they want to because they're not locked down on a single side. But when we saw how they played defense and how well they're actually good at contesting a side over when it comes to B, I mean, they hadn't exactly had the best track record for it. But maybe these picks that they got, when you can read this kill feed looking like this, I mean, these guys are obviously doing something a little different on this offensive side.
Look out, folks. This is the end of the round. Bama Crimson.
Oh, my God.
They capture both points right underneath the nose of Conquered Maroon. All the kills come through, and they need him to. They're up 2-0 in this one, Mick. Watch out.
And they just do one more defensive round. And defense on Garrison is usually a lot easier than it is on offensive when you see that A site. And we saw Bama play it off fairly well in that last round. And seeing how they're going to have to do that going forward, they just know they had to play out a little bit more time. They just got to hold things out because they played the lives right. They sat there and dueled it down. They may have given Maroon the upper hand right there off the bat. But, I mean, they were not letting down by any means necessary. Obviously, that first round could have been won by the likes of Q Maroon if they were just on that site. But that alone, these guys are going to be kicking themselves in the rear if they don't find a way to at least get a single round on here, especially when one was so free for them.
With a huge chance here to close out Conquered Maroon in 3 straight rounds. They go back on defense where they try to do it. 2 opening kills are going to be good for Maroon, and this is a situation they haven't been in much throughout this entire year, right? They're not often the team who falls down to us. We'll see what they do to retaliate. Well, there's your answer. Crooked finding another one on the click. That's good for more progress at B. He's turning attention to A. Got to get these players off the contest if you want to. But for Bama Crimson, they know how important it is to be here. More contests coming through as they continue to funnel on in. Click able to find 1. He's able to find 2, and Cade gets the 3rd. Huge stuff from Bama. They're going to keep this round alive a little bit longer.
Man, and that's an issue going forward, especially when you see how they're playing this out. They already have a tick of progress on A, or at least Concord does. And seeing how they played it out last time around, if you go ahead and get them that progress, they don't need to worry about that last second push. They have a little bit more to work with, especially with 2 minutes on the clock. And seeing that they're up in lives this time around, they're just capitalizing on that as best as they can. I mean, that alone, Bama just need to sit there and settle down on it again. I think they just need to play for A. They just need to go ahead and give B up, get a couple picks here and there from Green, find some control there, and just go ahead and make their lives a lot easier when it gets around to this one site.
Saw this scenario earlier in the game where Concord were able to grab B at the start of the round, but they had a tough time getting A. It was good defense from Crimson that's already starting to fall apart. It's unraveling by the seams here as the kills continue to come through. Trauma with a huge 2-piece. The Diamante finds Nix. His teammates on to stack, and Bama have to sprint to this point if they want to try to get the contest in. The last sliver goes over. Maroon are not done just yet. They retaliate here in round 3, and they make it a 2-1 scoreline.
And I just don't know exactly what to think in this case scenario. Seeing, I mean, they obviously, Concord adjusted as best they could. They did a really good job of it, saying, you know what, maybe we shouldn't just play up one side right off the bat and sit there and totally give it up and let these guys set up, because we saw them, I mean, they had that mentality. You saw in Search and Destroy, they did a great job getting that bomb down and playing that setup, playing defense, doing a great job when it comes to that, especially if you only have technically one site to worry about. And now in this case scenario, when you're around back on the offense, Bama just absolutely taking it by storm last time they were in these shoes. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to see what exactly they can pull off to adjust it around and get that easy last third round here to close this out and give them some breathing room that they need.
Yeah, they did that early hit to A that you have to think is not going to happen again. Yeah, no chances, Concord Maroon. We're sending 3 up into top green. You have to get B first. They're finding the kills this time, and all of a sudden for Bama Crimson, it feels like your opportunity may have passed you by, because now you go back to defense. If you're Concord Maroon, you're probably going to be pretty solid here. Bama, last time they win that offense, felt like a bit of a fluke where they captured both points at the same time. It's not going to happen again here. All of a sudden, the spawn trap starting to loom forward. Chase finds that big kill. Nick's going to find a chance for some breathing room, though, onto Crooked. Still have to work past Trauma. Huge timing there for Click. Works out. Honcho finds another. Maybe the opening they're looking for, but you still got to get past Megatron.
Yeah, especially how they're pushing this up. K2K obviously having a huge pick right there, because you do not want your spawns locked down by any means necessary, especially when you're on the likes of Garrison. So seeing how these guys are playing this out, going for the speed progress, I would say start looking for a split of some sorts, because you know that these guys on Concord, they're going to want to retaliate this as best as possible. So find a way to manipulate that time. But it doesn't seem like they really need to, seeing how well they're holding this down, how they're actually getting this control. They're at half overall right now, so I think these guys are sitting fine and dandy, and they're pretty confident in their ability in this offensive round, even though they're only down 1 life at this stage.
Honcho does a good job at finding that 1 kill, but it's going to take a couple players from Concord to clean him off the point. They're able to do it. That only first tick of progress is not going to be enough to extend this round. They have to get something together at one of these sites. Got Nyx maybe thinking about playing the pinch as his teammates fall behind him. I would like to see him play his life as long as he possibly can here to avoid the spawn trap coming through. Instead, he goes down. It's a chance for everybody on Concord to move forward. They get in the power positions. Chase is here holding down this cross for 2K. He's going to find that kill. This is probably the end of things here with only 10 seconds left.
Oh, yeah, especially when you got these guys pushed so far back in their spawn. I don't know exactly what Bama could do in this stage. And unless they just have a miracle come out of nowhere, especially being down 5 lives. If you get around to that A site, they're not going to have enough really to play with to actually get on there and capture it. So that alone, not playing your lives well enough, especially, they had a second or two there where they had, I think their max was like a 3 life advantage. And you just need to play it a little bit slower, plan to that, dwindle those guys down. So whenever it gets down to, say, you know, for example, 15 seconds, Concord, they're going to say, yo, we need to make a push here. And I don't think Bama really thought about those lives remaining as a huge factor. But in the long term of things, I mean, if you capture a site, you get more time. Those lives, they don't refresh. So you need to play into those as a little bit more important of a factor and just utilize these sites more for time's sake.
It's a massive draw here for Bama as they go on defense in our round 5. 2 straight for Maroon to get it to this point. We'll see if they can do it on an offense to close it out. Again, the swing map right now as the series stands at 1-1. Chase in the contest is going to fall to Nyx, but his teammate's Crooked, finding a couple kills. Nyx is going to make it 2 in a row. Honcho traded out near top green, but a chance still here for Nyx to move up on the map, try to force these players back towards the spawn. He's still got number 1 to deal with for Concord in the top of the screen. They're able to find that kill. Nyx is able to find 2 more. It's all just Chase here left alive. He's going to force... See, this is the play I like. You know your teammates are going to be stuck in spawn, so try to play your life, try to force your way out. But Honcho's able to clean it up. Looking really good for Bama Crimson right now.
Man, just sweeping these guys off their feet, whatever chance they get, especially from the likes of Nyx, just getting these huge 2 pieces back-to-back, just almost eliminating a whole team's worth of guys on top of a site, albeit. So just finding a way to just play that defense so well, just win most of these engagements, push up where you need to be, and just do your job right. And that's exactly what they see them doing. Only issue is Bama's now been kind of reset, so these guys have to adapt in some kind of way. But with that, Honcho getting that pick right there is going to be a huge factor to help them to get out of their spawns and finally find some retaliation.
In a big spot to try to slow down this push to B, and he's answering the call. 2 massive kills for Honcho. Click with the 3rd. Now another chance to force back these spawns. The lives starting to dwindle for Concord Maroon. All of a sudden, they are the ones with their back against the wall, position they haven't been in many times this year. Continuing kills from Click as he finds 2 more and make it a 3rd for him. The absolute beast mode plays coming out of Click. 27-16, working on a bit of a streak here as he tries to play his life. Conquered Maroon, 15 seconds left. You got to get to a point. Big trades coming in from Trauma. Maybe it's something that can happen at B, but you have Honcho waiting for you. He finds the first chase. So massive to at least stall the clock. You don't have much lives to work with, though. Have to capture this point, it feels like, right now.
Oh, yeah, they're obviously going to want to, but hell, look at these live counts. Exactly what I was saying last round. Bama is up by 7 lives right now. I say they just let them take this site, give them a whole minute. They're going to play it slow. But as long as you set up well enough on this site, find a way to establish yourself. I mean, we saw them do it already once before. So, I mean, these guys, as long as they can sit there and dwindle down these 8 lives, it's going to feel like search and destroy for the likes of Q Maroon, and they just don't have as much to play with this time around.
Putting a lot on your defense here. 3 big kills for Conquered Maroon. They're going to get onto the point. Everybody's going to try to stack it here for Crimson. This doesn't look good. You have to get there soon. You have to find these kills. The point flying up. Second tick of progress through. One player's going to have to get on to make a contest. They slide on in. The shots for Megatron don't find one. Nix is there. He's trying to get a second, but he can't. Trauma and Crooked. They clean up the kills.
Oh my God.
And it looks like the progress is going to go through.
Oh my
Maroon
God.
in reverse sweep fashion. Take map 3. Oh, Mick, it felt like Bama had it there. But in the final moments, it gets pulled right from underneath them. And Conquered Maroon, they show the composure necessary to bring it back. Unbelievable game.
Oh, they got cocky, man. I got to say it. Seeing Bama, see them push out of that site, wander out of B, or excuse me, and find a way to sit there and say, okay, let's get some picks here and there. Let's lock them in their spawn. They got 8 lives, buddy. Don't worry about it. They're going to come to you. If you're on that site, they have to find their way over there regardless. Otherwise, they're just throwing this round. So just let that clock dwindle down. Let them be scared. Play into that. Or let them get aggressive and slip up and already have something ready for that whenever they get onto this site. And we just saw them wandering out of home territory. Going over into the away stadium, just getting demolished. And that alone is what sat there and allowed Q Maroon to reset these spawns, get them back into theirs, and then just absolutely just full stack that site. And that alone, if it was 1 or 2 guys, wouldn't matter. But when you get that whole team down, let them play a little bit passively because they picked your men off from the outside. I mean, Bama, they just kind of got a little bit too far ahead of themselves there in the end. And I can't blame them. You're beating Q Maroon. But letting that up right there, giving up that round alone, I mean, that's what kind of gave them the lead at this stage. So, I mean, they got to really bring some to this hard point.
Unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
Conquered, they lose the lives. It's like 9-16 when they're trying to capture B. And you said it. Crimson are going to go ahead and chalk it. They're going to put a lot of focus over to A. And just by adding that extra time to the clock, it gives Conquered the chance to kind of catch a breath, reset, talk about how they want to make the break happen. And Bama just fall asleep a little bit there with their setup. Unbelievable. Conquered's able to find their way onto the point. And it's going to be unfortunate because Bama, like, that would have been such a big map to win.
Yeah.
It's not going to be so easy to win this next Garrison hardpoint. Obviously, you can see above us, Apocalypse hardpoint was 250-10. If you could have won that control, at least you're going to a game 5. Now, it's not looking as probable as you have to win this Garrison hardpoint.
That's the scariest thing for these guys, especially seeing, I mean, when you already lose that momentum in Garrison right up front, you have to constantly be looking at the bigger pictures when you're looking at a series. When you already get that first map down, you know you're not going to be getting 3-0 because you have a point on the board. So you have to think exactly how to play these games out, not just these rounds, but games and playing the whole series and playing it into your favor. I mean, when you sit there and lose some momentum, if you know for a fact you haven't lost Garrison all season, you know you're going to whoop Concord, sit there, slow down, let them think they have you, then just completely flip the table and let that round 5 come out. But seeing them slip up this time around, letting Concord just get that first Garrison map and knowing you're going right back to where you just got, kind of settled in, that's a concerning feeling.
Certainly is, yeah. This is a tall task right now to win this Garrison hardpoint. The positive for Bama Crimson, a series ago, they did win a Garrison hardpoint. It was an 175-point win. Obviously, you're going to have to change things up from whatever took place in the first map. And if you can get into that raid search and destroy, yes, it would probably be anybody's ball game. But Maroon, they've been so strong all season. In the regular season, they didn't drop a single hardpoint regardless of the map. They were 3-0 on Garrison, where we go next. And then on the other side for Bama, when it comes to Garrison, 4-0 in hardpoint. So this is one of their favorite maps. I mean, when I spoke with Click earlier today, he said, if we get an Apocalypse, obviously that didn't work out, or a Garrison, then we're going to be in a good spot. So we'll see how strong they really are on this map as we jump into things.
Yeah, and I feel like when it comes around to both those maps, Apocalypse, nobody's really had as much time around. But, you know, Garrison, been here all year, so let's see if they actually can back it up this time around.
Really need to if you're Crimson. If you want to force that game 5, we'll see if Conquered Maroon are able to compile that momentum from last game into this one. Going to be scrappy here on P1. The spawns coming through right now. Megatron's trying to pick up some of these kills. The contest comes through. That's huge. Control of top green is going to be there for Trauma. He's going to need to hold on to this position as the kills come through. Now they turn their attention to him. Honcho's able to find it with the big headshot. That's the opening that you're looking for to get over there to P2. Somebody has to do it. Push across. Nix, leave P1. Go to P2. You don't need this time. You really need the money hill.
I mean, hell, not just Nyx alone. He needs another man with him. I mean, facing Lifesteal Concord. He's not going to sit there and get that clutch situation, but you're right. They do need a man already rotating to that. I mean, obviously, these last 3 seconds are going to be important, but you got to have guys going across that catwalk, locking this down. And we see them trying to do as best as possible to lock that down. We see Honcho just absolutely just running by a man and letting Crooked just kind of slip in, but it doesn't matter because we see them doing a darn good job getting here on the site, but Concord seems pretty ready to rush this.
Bama was not worried about the rotation at all. They said we can break it pretty easily. And yeah, Honcho jumped right over Crooked. Crazy timing that ended up working out for him. Bama, they're starting to put together a bit of a lead here. Now they got the setup on P2. This could be huge stuff. 30 seconds still up for grabs. The push is trying to come through top green. They're going to flood on out. Honcho in a big spot. Able to find the first one with the team shots from Cade. Megatron there to trade it out, but you still have to get Honcho off the back of this satellite. You can't do it. And with only 20 seconds left, it's time to chalk it for Conquered Maroon. Get your setup down for P3. For Bama's side of things, it's time to try to fluctuate out and get some more positioning on the map.
Yeah, I feel like with this 3 SMG setup, these are where the guys are going to start slipping up a little. You see the more long-range engagements trying to push for those spawns, as we see Megatron already set up for one of them with his Krig. I mean, this is where it's going to get a lot harder for these guys if they don't go ahead and get established on this point, because with Concord running more ARs, not just having that one man with K2K running it, I mean, he's got to be a huge determining factor on finding a way to get these long-range picks, of settling down these spawns and finding a way to hold the site out. But, I mean, regardless of what happens on the site alone, they did such a darn good job before us on these first 2 sites, winning those close-range engagements and doing almost an impeccable job when it came over to that P2. And I think that alone is allowing them to sacrifice this site for the most part, as long as I can find a couple seconds of contention.
This is going to be huge here for Conquered to make their way back into this game. So far, so good. Still 20 seconds left to fight for, and you got to start to think about your exit strategy. That's exactly what Chase is going to do here as he pushes on up into the dark room. Big kill with the jump chow onto Click. Next player's up, coming on through to find the trade. Nyx is able to get it. Now it's Crooked's turn to try to push out on this exfil. Can they get there? No, they can't. It's perfect stuff from Bama Crimson, knowing that this is where the avenue is. They're shutting it down. They're closing the door. They're ready for the rotation. Conquered, they make their way back a little bit, but now it's Bama's turn to have another stronghold.
Man, and we already see him trying to work for it. We see him doing a great job of getting these rotations out, already holding down these spawns as best as possible, getting all these lockdowns out from over there on the side of the watch guard. But, I mean, overall, just seeing how they're playing this out, playing it very passively, just letting the likes of Concord run into their arms to sit there and just shoot them, that instead of actually just meeting them here on the site. It's going to be a good tactic overall, but when you finally see that they're going to find some time here on the site, I mean, that's a situation that's going to be concerning because you've already sacrificed 1 point and you can't give this one up.
Bama has the height advantage. What do they do with it? They jump on down into the hill to find 1 kill. Now it's up for grabs. Still 20 seconds there as Megatron looks to play his life underneath. Gotta kind of turn your attention to the next one soon here, as it's almost a deadlock tie. If Concord can grab this final 10 seconds, they actually will take the lead with it. We go to the scrappy P5 hill. Megatron there to clean up that one for his teammate. Honcho, big challenge coming up. He's able to find 1, but Crooked gets him there on the trade. He's going to push on through into bricks. Chase is finding a big kill. This is good control for Concord as we go to the next one. Spawns, though, are going to be coming from mid. But how about the IQ? They're ready for it. Concord knows exactly where to look.
Yep, and they're already locking this out, but we see these guys from Bama just finding different ways to manipulate this site. We saw K2K get picked up on that side earlier, but he's your AR player. He's not going to sit there and be very good when it comes to these short-range matchups. So we see the rest of these guys finally getting that intel from him, playing their cards right, and making sure he can make those call-outs. So whenever they infiltrate as best they can and doing a darn good job with it with all these 74 U's, I mean, that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to dissect this, make a push it as best as possible, and get away with just finding some points here and then to give them a lead. And I mean, with already having one at some point, kind of giving it up with those last 2 points, this isn't a situation you want to be sitting in, especially when you're facing a Titan.
Yeah, really good job for Bama to just not allow Concord to get anything going. They have not been able to build momentum, although they have the lead right now. Bama's going to be the first ones to this hard point as we get set for another rotation. Ancho realizing the contest coming through, and again, green is up for grabs. I really think that's such an important position to have for either team. The fact that nobody's been going there just goes to show these teams are they just want to battle it out on the hill. Honcho gonna take the challenge. He's gonna find the one onto Megatron, but he's not ready for Crooked climbing up in the vent. Crooked's good for 2. Crooked's looking for 3. Click's gonna clean him up. Trauma there to find Click as well, though. So Concord, they're gonna find some more time here. And again, with 30 seconds left, they know that might seem early, but you gotta start to turn your attention over there to P2. Number 5 is gonna do it. Megatron's there to hold down top green. And for Bama right now, they're just gonna try to push through this old time and get this 20 seconds.
I mean, yeah, obviously you need these 20 seconds, but when you're sitting in these guys' shoes, it's putting a little bit too many eggs in one basket. I mean, these guys, they did a great job when it came around to that first rotation on P1, P2, being almost flawless with both those sites. But if you're betting on those 2 sites for the rest of the game, I mean, Concord's eventually going to nitpick and find a way to, tear that apart. And that alone isn't going to be the tactic you need going forward. It's not going to how you're going to win this game, especially when the ratio is 3-2 for the likes of Concord. I mean, that just doesn't play into your favor. And we see Bama already slipping up on this P2 if they don't find a way to just get on it quick enough.
Yeah, last time they didn't rotate, but it was exactly like this time. They just got a clean break. Everybody flooding on out of top green. They're able to get to this backside of the radar. It's a big spot to be, though, as these players continue to funnel on in. They're going to try to clean up these kills. They're able to do it. Nyx, the last one to try to slow things down a little bit, is going to fall as well. So after the break from Bama Crimson, another one from Concord Maroon. This 20 seconds is going to be good for them. Another rotation on the way to P3. Bama may be the ones winning the race, but you got Chase here to try to find the kills. Big one out of Nyx. But these couple players spawn out. Click, he's going to have to make the long run with Honcho. Is Concord ready for this? You got one player focused on the old time. Now the rotation coming through. Big kills coming up.
Wow, and a great infiltration right there from Honcho and Click. Utilizing the men right there. Finding a way to get on that site and just play from multiple angles. That's exactly how you're going to win this. And we see Bama finally getting away to go on this point 3, flip the table a little bit because we didn't see him even find really any time at all on this site last time around. Q Maroon, they had a flawless run besides those couple seconds that was contested, but I mean, Bama didn't get any more than 2 seconds on the site this time around. They've already gotten that doubled. It tripled at this stage. So, I mean, that alone, they need to keep on playing this momentum if they want to sit there and find a way to close this out and get this hard point. I mean, you got to give them props overall. It's one hell of a better job than they had around on Apocalypse. So, I mean, these guys, their confidence is coming back, and we can see it.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, the first hard point in this series was 250-10. Much different this time around. Crimson putting up much better of a fight. A 4-kill streak now for Honcho as he finds himself with 30 kills on the game. Click has found some big ones at times, but 9 and 23 might be turning things up a little bit. Another exit strategy on the way. Not going to work out off the rip. Concord able to find a couple kills. Cade, though, creating some separation with a big one there. Now looking for Megatron as he finds it there as well. Huge stuff there, able to flip the spawns around. Now it's going to be Concord Maroon spawning over by P3. This is a great position for Crimson.
Oh, easily, especially getting this high ground, finding a way to push down and seeing Nyx is already stationed up there. You most likely want Cade in that situation to be up there in top green, playing into that range that he does have with that Krig, with the rest of these guys having 74 U's. If you get him on the ground, they're going to be more likely to win these matchups. And we see Cade getting a good couple angles there, but just getting close out a little bit too easily once he's contested on that site. That alone, Bama needs to go ahead and get an infiltration running really quickly, or just go ahead and start looking for rotations here, being you have that control right now. Start moving forward. Let Cade set up. Find a way to get these long angles ready for himself to go ahead and get some picks here and there, lock out these spawns, and give yourself a next 2 free points if you're going to go ahead and close this out, because they had the potential to.
Team Guns continue to battle it out on the hill as we're close to a near tie going into P5. It's going to be a 10-point advantage for Maroon with the initial time going over to Crimson. Big kill from Click up in top green, not letting these players into that lane. Megatron's going to be able to trade him out, so now you got to think about that. Pushing over towards Bricks, the spawns coming through. Crimson's going to be in the backside with it, not where you want to be. How can Maroon take advantage of it? They're able to find the 1 kill, but they got to find Click and Cade. Cade's there for the trade. Honcho finds one as well. A big gunfight coming there with Trauma. He loses it, and the hill's still up for grabs. Both teams spawning up right now, and it's an all-out race to get there. It's almost another deadlock tie as we near 200 points for both these teams.
Yeah, but we just see them fighting around this side. Nobody's really fighting on it, which overall that's the best play. But when you're looking at these guys, when you're in the shoes of Bama, you need to be fighting on this time. You need to be finding a way to, if you win that contest, you're immediately on that site. You don't have to wait half a second to sit there and get back onto the side or, find a different way on the map. And that alone, those small little seconds, I'm willing to bet this is going to be like both teams are going to be at 240 at least. So, I mean, overall, those tiny little milliseconds are going to add up overall, be more, and that alone is going to determine the game, especially looking at how Concord choked up last time on control when they were on offense. We see that the tiniest little things are going to add up and such a huge factor when you're in the playoffs right now.
Big moments now for Crimson as they try not to let this game get out of reach. Big plays, though, on the other side for Maroon. Crooked finding two. Third's not going to happen as Click finally gets traded out. Now you're inching your way towards a victory. You could win it even on this hill if you continue this control. Nix, that's huge to slow things down for the time being. Gets into the contest. We could be seeing at least one more hill. Maybe not, though. 20 seconds here is good to win the game for Maroon. Honcho, 42 and 22 now, almost getting another three-piece. Does get cleaned up. They need to get this one last contest to at least extend it to another hill. They could still win it there on P1. Everybody trying to make a race to get there. Huge kills from Crooked as he finds two more. Maroon are going to close it out here on P1. We don't see another hard point. Bama, so close, so much better of an effort here in this second hard point, but they're not going to be able to do it. Maroon, the Goliath squad all year long, they're able to close it out.
Man, what a finish, though. I mean, overall, just seeing how these guys played it out. I was hoping for a game 5. I think we all were. Seeing how everything was playing out there, seeing how close of a match this was around, we finally saw Bama in their prime this season. We saw them get warmed up. We see them in the stage where they're finally in the game and they're saying, yo, we know exactly where we stand. We're facing these guys now. We may have had a little bit of warm-ups or a little bit of matches here in the early season and maybe spread throughout that kind of threw us off guard. But this is a time of day where we're back to back to back, baby, nonstop playing as long as we just keep winning. And we saw them just do one hell of a job coming to this stage. But this is where whenever you face Maroon, this is a testament to showing exactly how much you've learned and how much you're willing to go with forward. And there was a couple things here and there that just really added up.
Couple moments for sure. They can go back and watch that VOD, but I have to think a lot of positives to take away from this. You hang around with a team like Concord Maroon.
Yeah.
You make the control go to 5 rounds. You had a 2-0 lead that, you let slip. Sure, you're probably kicking yourself for that one. You bounce back in the second hard point and make it as close as they did. So much credit to Bama Crimson. They will move down to the loser's bracket, but you have to think that the momentum will carry on here from this one because it was a great showing for Concord Maroon. I don't know, some holes start to show up a little bit, especially in the Search and Destroy. They're starting to let some fall. Didn't drop a map in the entire regular season, and now all of a sudden, Search and Destroy is starting to become a bit of a problem, a little kink in the armor that I'm sure they're going to want to clean up as they move forward. But folks, I mean, I think it's only fair to mention none of this is possible without the unbelievable volunteer work that folks are doing behind the scenes.
Easily.
I mean, we're not getting paid to do this. This is all voluntary work. The least you could do to give back, go over to Esports Awards. If you've been loving your time here at the CCL and you're wondering how you can return the favor, like I say, you can. You can go over to the Esports Awards and recognize us as the best in collegiate esports by nominating us in 3 easy steps. Go over to esportsawards.com/nominate. That's esportsawards.com/nominate. Select the Collegiate Esports Award box, fill out College COD for a nomination, and submit. It would really, really mean a lot to us at the CCL. It would make all the effort that we put into making this production possible that much more worth it. I think we put on a pretty good show. It would be great for those of you out there watching who are entertained to give back in some small way to us. Again, esportsawards.com/nominate, as you can see on your screen. And Mick, it was a really, really good series there. Just kudos to Bama Crimson for making it as interesting as they do. Unfortunately, they do go down to Maroon, and they will move to the loser's bracket.
Yeah, and that's just a real shame to see. I mean, we see these guys and how they've said their their time isn't done yet, by no means. I mean, these guys are going to give all these other teams one hell of a time up there in the loser's bracket. And I mean, I'm sure the whole mix down there just got a hell of a lot more interesting with them in there because teams are going to be scared now. You feel like a lot of guys feel like they're going to have an easy run. But when you sit there and face Bama and everybody's going to go back to this VOD and say, I mean, they may have a record that's not flawless, But when you see them facing up and stacking up against Maroon, and if you beat them by any chance, that's a testament to yourself. Because I mean, the game we do see 1-3 in the series, but when you look at these rounds and just see how close everything is, I mean, I feel like it's a tie game in my opinion. Just the way it feels, how much Bama's accomplished in this match to show going forward. I mean, by no means are they done.
Yeah, I mean, I like you said, you got to be scared of Bama Crimson if you've got them coming up in your losers bracket. This is almost a good looking loss. I know that's a rare thing to say, but to at least take a map off Concord Maroon, almost 2, almost even 3. It's a really great showing for Bama Crimson. A lot to take away from it, but that's going to do it here for this match. We'll go to a break. We've got more coming up when we come back. There's other streams to tune into. There's always something going on here in the CCL playoffs. I will be taking a step away. Seymour and Cruz and Spaz will be joining on the desk to carry you through the next one, but we're going all the way through the night. We've got games up until 10:30 tonight. That's Eastern time. So don't go too far. We're going to take a break here on the Bravo stream, get some food, get some water, and we'll be right back with more CCL action.